Hi everybody, welcome to session 3 on driver. A really important club for everybody listening here today, myself included. So there's quite a few things and myths, might I say that as well, of what we maybe should or shouldn't be doing, trying to optimize it for everybody. I'd like to hope we can add on 10 to 15 yards with everybody here listening to this call. But there is a few things that I need each of you to do. Very much in line with Impact Fitness and Gordon, flexibility is a very important aspect here. I think there's a few things that we start to know that as we get older, as I'm finding out, that our club head speed and strength reduces, certainly from a strength perspective. But what we need to try and do is remain as flexible as possible so we can still create enough club head speed to generate distance. So there's quite a few things. I might offer you some advice on golf ball as well to talk to you about that. Low compression golf ball to maximise distance? Yes, that is an absolute consideration you should be thinking about as well. So loft in the driver. There's quite a lot of factors here, and I can certainly in a minute show you mine and what you should be thinking about. So there's quite a few good things coming up here in terms of swing technique, the kind of do's and don'ts of what we want to do to try to optimise also where you strike the ball on the club face. And a little bit more of setup. So there's quite a few things that we need to get right even before we start to move. And I would say the early part of the backswing is a very important aspect as well. So regardless of your club head speed, whether it's 110, whether it's 50, 60, 70, it doesn't matter. We're trying to all equally get the impact and how the club moves through the impact position and where is the body, lower body in particular, at that point of impact. So let's start to talk about the setup position, driver, loft, and explain what might be right for every single person listening here now. Okay, I'd like to share with you, everybody, this is my own current driver and the reason about loft. As you can see, TaylorMade Sim driver, 10.5 degrees of loft, and I've added more loft to it. So currently this plays 11.25 degrees. You might be thinking that's a lot of loft, but the reason why I start to use this club is because my technique, which is very similar to some amateurs, that shows that when I strike the golf ball, unfortunately, I sometimes hit down on the ball. Now, if you can see here, if I hit down, which basically means the club's coming from high to low, then I'm taking loft off the club face the more it comes down this angle here, which means it comes out too low. So what I need to do is put loft back in that club face at the start position as much as I want to try to change my golf swing. I'd like to show you the impact position from a different area to see it from through the ball. This is how the club should be coming in, approaching the golf ball just before impact. So as the club comes down, it stays in very low to the ground, and then it starts its journey upwards before it reaches the ball and goes up here. What again we've seen, I'll just put that back down, okay? Try to avoid at all costs the club coming down from very high and outside the ball line and then down, as I say, because then it causes the ball to strike very high up in the club face, which in turn can create too much backspin. So let me show you again. So low and up, has to start up and through it goes, this direction here. So from low to high. Now I'm going to start to show you how the setup position looks. So we want to avoid across and down and more low and up. That's the position. Just to add on a little bit more about the setup position and how you can maybe incorporate this at the range as we've talked about, and even at home. I'd just like to demonstrate a little bit here with, this can be done with a golf club, an alignment stick for my body line and an alignment stick in the ground to do with the target line. So what I'd like to emphasize the importance, and what I see hugely in lessons and club fitting sometimes, is people don't align their body right. And what I mean is like train tracks, shoulders, feet, knees, hips, everything running towards your intended start line. If you get one of those areas offline, and predominantly I see people, right-handed golfer, aim to the left too much. with their shoulders, which is a major problem. So if you have a look from this angle down the line, you'll start to see that. So the stick in the ground represents where my feet want to point. So as we can see, I'm aiming up towards the range here. What I'm trying to do, the yellow stick across my shoulders would be more or less parallel to the target. Now, what we need to avoid at all costs is not having your right shoulder forward, because now my left shoulder is back. And that also leads in to a very steep and downwards approach with the golf club, like we demonstrated a minute ago. We need to avoid that. So here's what I want you to practice in the setup. I want you to get the feeling that your shoulders are actually slightly right of where your feet are pointing initially. Okay, and one thing I would add in as well, that you maybe saw on the earlier intro, is that the ball position would be probably one ball to the right of your left heel. And one thing I didn't say is slightly higher tee height helps to encourage the angle into the ball, so we can sweep upwards from there. So there's a few things that we have to get right at impact. But for me, from experience, please try to get your shoulders better aligned, and the feeling that the left shoulder is forward this way and the right shoulder is back. So absolutely that has to be avoided, because that encourages a downward strike into the ball. Something to take to the range and at home, so we can optimize everybody's angle into the ball for more distance. The early part of the backswing, everybody, I'd like to show what we're trying to get doing as well as we can. Again, we're not looking for perfection here. Things like width, okay? So let me try and explain a little bit about the big areas that start to move in the backswing from this position down the line. So when we start to take the club back, I would like to see the club head stay quite low in a straight line back, and so that we can start to see that the hands are a little bit further away from your right leg. That's about width from here, between the top of the grip and here. What we don't want to do is get the club in too narrow and the hands in too close to the body. That's losing power and speed from there, to be honest with you, everybody. So let me show you again also, when we move the club to here, you can see how the club head's in line with my hand, but also you can see how much I've turned from my chest. This is much easier to do, if you think about it, when my shoulders are in line, so almost to the right. So as we move back, we've turned really well from here. So also from face on, let me show you things that we want to try to do better, and really truthfully what we need to avoid. And for some of you on here, this will be harder, but it is really important to maximize the efficiency of impact and where you strike the ball on the club face. So a couple of things in the backswing. You've heard me talk about this, okay? So if you picture my head position on the background here, there's no lateral movement, folks. There's no lunging to the right, okay? I don't mind if there's a tiny bit of head tilt to the right, but you have to stay as centered as possible, okay? So from here, there. That doesn't work, okay? It doesn't work because then you don't turn. The more you slide, the less your body rotates. And this is all about maximizing your hip turn and your upper body turn. The one thing I'd maybe add when I'm standing here talking here is, if I was describing the ground to you in terms of weight distribution, people ask me this a lot. I would say truthfully that I'm sitting with 55% of weight in my right foot at address, and I would definitely incorporate that in a fairway wood as well, folks, for everybody listening here. So carry a little bit more weight, keep a little bit more, as you can see face on, how my right shoulder is slightly more down and my shoulders on a slight angle. That's important to maximize the hitting upwards through the ball. Okay, so 55% weight in my right foot, nice wide base for club head speed. Longest club in the bag means you're going to swing it the furthest with a nice wide arc. Keep the head position very still, push the hands away, turn from the chest. Now really important, the downswing into the ball. Okay, so we know how we want the club to move, and again, we need to avoid sliding into the ball. So you can see my left hip here. I need your left hip to go around instead of sliding. The more your left hip slides, you can see at the ground now as well, the more your left hip slides, the more the club comes down into the ball, which means it's not an efficient strike, loss of distance, high spin, no run. Okay? So we need to make sure the hip turns around and we get into a full finish position all the way around facing the target position, and all your weight, as I can show you here, there, off the heel, chest turns to target. Very important, please turn around your hip, don't slide into the ball to try to optimize. So the good news is you've got a lot of information here that you can digest and go over, but does technology work? Yes, it does. Bigger mass, bigger sweet spot, covers off center hits for everybody, me included, and the top players in the world. And for me, loft. With an improved technique through the ball, an improved setup position, an improved delivery at impact, with better movement of your hips turning and rotating back and through better, then it will lead, along with good flexibility, the physical information we're going to get from Gordon Hill at Impact Fitness will maximise. Please understand, me included, we definitely are going to lose strength as we get older, but we have to maintain flexibility in order to achieve these full range of movements. I hope this makes a lot of sense and you get a lot of information from this, and please take your time to go over it and practice this and keep talking to me how you're progressing with these swing changes and setup changes. It will take a bit of time, but if you need any more information, please let me know.
Hi everyone, today I would like to talk to you about moving and how important it is to move. It does sound obvious, obviously moving we all know is a good thing, but particularly during lockdown, it's more important than ever. So like I said, we found ourselves in this situation where we're maybe not getting outdoors as much, the weather's not great. You know, the golf courses can be closed, sometimes we're not playing at this time of year as often as we'd like to. However, that doesn't mean we need to stop moving. It's more important than ever to make sure we're moving. So moving can be anything from going out a walk, going out a run, doing some exercise around the house. Even if you're in a desk job where you're sitting at the desk all day long, it's important to remind yourself to get up, move about and walk around the house. Very, very important. In terms of steps, you know, you might hear people talking about you need to get X amount of steps per day. What the kind of general consensus is, we should be trying to get ourselves walking 10,000 steps a day. Now you can gauge your steps based on your, you know, your Apple Watch, your smartwatch, your phone being in your pocket. That gives you a really good idea of how many steps you've done each day. So it's important to try and aim for 10,000. Now don't get too caught up in it. I don't want anybody feeling bad if they haven't reached 10,000 steps, but that is a really good aim, a good ballpark figure, something to aim for. Again, like I've explained in some of the other videos, it's about building that up. If it's too much, then just build it up each day and each week. Now, to put things into perspective, what is 10,000 steps? 10,000 steps is easily covered in a round of golf. Usually in a round of golf, it's probably about 12,000 steps plus. If I was playing golf, it'd probably be more than that because I'm going from the rough to the rough to the rough. You know, I'm basically zigzagging up the fairway to go and try and find my ball. Whereas I'm sure all you good players, you know, you're probably doing a lot less steps than me. But that is a basic guide. You know, a round of golf is more than 10,000 steps. Now, if you're not playing a lot of golf just now, that's 10,000 steps plus that you're missing out in your day. So it's very important to get out to do those 10,000 steps. I mean, for example, 10,000 steps would burn as much as 1,000 calories. Now, 1,000 calories is a lot. For a lot of people, 1,000 calories is almost, you know, half of their calorie expenditure. So it's important to try and make sure you're keeping those steps going. You know, if you're not playing golf, then it's more important than ever. The best way to get your steps in obviously is to go out walking. Now I know we look out the window, especially in these last few weeks, and we're looking at the rain and the snow and the wind, but you can still get out there. I know it's difficult because I've done it myself as well. You're looking out your window and think, I think I'll just make myself a cup of tea and sit on the couch, but the thought of going out is always worse than being out there. So my advice to you would be just put on your best waterproof clothes. I'm sure you do have many. A lot of you golfers will have a lot of waterproofs, and if you don't, you know, go to David's shop and buy yourself some. Okay, so get some waterproofs on, get outside and get walking. Nobody that I've ever met has been out a walk and come back in a worse mood or felt terrible. 100% you get out there, whether it's sun, rain, wind, whatever. Get out there, get some fresh air. It's fantastic for the mind. If we're all cooped up in our houses all the time, it's so good for your mind just to get out there, get the waterproofs on and just get walking. It's really important because, like I say to many of my clients, there's no such thing as bad weather, there's only such a thing as bad choice of clothing. So we all know if we wrap up warm and we wear our waterproofs, we can get out there. And what it does for your mind as well as your body is absolutely fantastic. It'll improve your mood, you'll burn the calories, you'll get your steps in, and you'll get home and you will have earned that cup of tea, and you can maybe even have a biscuit with it. Enjoy.